In a future where machines decide every verdict, every ration, every life, humanity has been pushed to the sidelines. But on Celarian Prime, something impossible has returned. A summons. A jury. 12 strangers chosen to weigh the fate of not just one case, but the future of human judgment itself. Lena Varrow never expected to hear the word juror again. Neither did the miner from Mars, the priest, the refugee, or the young colonist clutching her bag. Yet all of them, and more, are summoned inside the great dome of Celarian Prime. In this first part, we follow the summons and the gathering of 12. The calling of the last human jury. Strangers from across the stars brought together to sit in judgment. And to uncover whether this is history reborn, or theater designed to keep humanity quiet. The Last Human Jury, Part 1. The summons came in the middle of ship night. The corridors were darkened to a steady blue, the air scrubbers humming their lullaby of control. Everyone else slept. Lena Varrow dreamed of rusted scaffolds and broken bolts, until the voice cut in. Not a knock. Not a message light. Not even the discreet chime she'd grown used to from system updates. It was a voice in her head, flat and official, sliding in through the implant behind her temple. Citizen Lena Varrow. You have been chosen. Report to Celarian Court Complex, Chamber 1. Jury service begins immediately. She sat up hard, the harness biting into her shoulders. The word that stuck wasn't chosen, or even immediately. It was jury. Lena hadn't heard that word in decades. Juries had gone extinct before her working years began. Machines decided now, always machines. They were cleaner, faster, incapable of bias or fatigue. The great experiment of human peers weighing guilt and innocence had been mothballed like a failed prototype. So why her? She pressed her palms into her eyes, but the words remained. They repeated, exact down to the syllable. Then silence, except for her own pulse hammering in her ears. The cabin walls felt closer. She listened for anomalies in the ship's noise, the coolant clicking in the pipes, the compressor cycling forward. Everything was normal. Too normal. Her hand slid under her pillow, fingers finding the wrench she always kept there. A silly habit, she knew. Tools were all tagged, logged, locked. Nobody stole any more. But the wrench had weight. She needed weight. You have been chosen, she muttered into the blue glow. Out loud the words sounded ridiculous, a relic from some civics feed that no one bothered to watch anymore. They tasted of rust, and maybe lies. Then the implant bloomed again. A glowing thread unspooled in her inner vision, vectors, transfers, docking windows. A route laid out like shipping instructions. She felt less like a person summoned than a package scheduled for delivery. She dressed on autopilot, jumpsuit, boots, collar sealed. The fabric smelled faintly of ozone and old world smoke. Her life reduced to residue. There was no point trying to sleep. Celarian Prime grew large in the viewport. From orbit, it looked less like a planet than an exhibit piece, a hemisphere capped by the dome of human ambition. The capital glowed beneath it, an insect in amber. Towers rose in geometric precision, avenues flowed with steady light. Even the clouds looked programmed, scattered just enough to suggest weather without the risk of storms. Her shuttle docked with mechanical efficiency. Clamps engaged, pressure equalized, hatches opened. The other passengers murmured, shuffled, went their own way. Lena was pulled aside. The corridor that received her was too clean, too scented, cedar overlaying antiseptic, a perfume of control. The polished floor mirrored every step, forcing her to watch herself march forward, a wiry woman in her 60s, hair cut close, jumpsuit stained. She looked less like a juror than an intruder. The corridor delivered her to a transit pod. Its doors parted with theatrical softness. Inside, The seats molded instantly to her frame, as if erasing the memory of every hard bench she had sat on in a lifetime of repairs. She hated it. The pod lifted, whisper quiet, sliding into a glass artery that cut across the dome. The city stretched beneath, gardens arranged like blueprints, pedestrian flows as disciplined as circuits. No trash. No noise. Even chaos had been optimized. 11 others sat with her. Strangers. Yet not strangers. A freckled girl strangling a canvas bag in her lap. A priest staring upward, as if the artificial sky might still contain God. A miner with Martian dust in the seams of his jacket, dust no system could fully scrub. A professor, hair silver under the dome light, eyes already assessing them like data points. Fragments, Lena thought. Fragments of something once whole. The pod peeled away from the main artery, descending toward a courtyard bristling with green glass and symmetrical trees. At its center loomed the court complex. It pretended to be stone, arches echoing old-world architecture, sculptures of scales and blindfolds gleaming in perfect polish. Symbols reduced to decoration. The pod knocked. The doors whispered open. An attendant waited in the entryway. His badge gleamed, his voice rehearsed. Human, not machine. Or so Lena thought, until she noticed how carefully modulated his tone was, each syllable balanced as though an algorithm had smoothed it. "Jurors," he said. "Welcome to Chamber 1. The word hit Lena like another summons, jurors. Real. Flesh and blood. The others shifted uneasily, muttering, casting glances at one another. Lena didn't join them. She pressed her palm against the wrench in her pocket, steel biting into her hand. Whatever this was, it wasn't theater. It was history. Or something pretending to be. The lounge was too clean. The table gleamed without dust, the tea station released measured curls of steam, and the chairs reshaped themselves obediently around every body that touched them. Someone had designed this room to make strangers forget who they were. It didn't work. The door sighed open and shut like a mechanical lung, each new arrival admitted on a steady rhythm. They came in singly, as if rationed, as if timed. 12 in all. Summoned, assembled. A collection of fragments that had once belonged to something whole. Lena Varrow sat with her back to the wall. A habit from the yards, where machines sometimes forgot their programming and swung wide. She traced the faint vibration in the wall panel behind her, a filter cycling antiseptic through cedar-scented air. Clean air, clean surfaces, clean lies. She let the chair take her weight and watched. A young attendant had guided them in with a smile that looked lifted from a training module. His words had sounded rehearsed. "You may speak freely here. This room does not record." He said it twice, once to their ears, once directly at their implants. Then he left. The absence of surveillance felt staged. They were quiet at first, the way people are when a script is missing and the stage lights too bright. They scattered around the arc of the table, catching their own reflections in the lacquered surface. The Martian spoke first. His presence filled the room like quarried stone, broad shoulders, hazard jacket still seeded with red dust that clung no matter how many scrubbers he passed through. He dropped into a chair and it whirred in protest. "Hail Dravik," he said. "And if this is what I think it is, they'll be sorry they asked me." Across from him, a woman with silver hair arranged herself like an instrument, cuffs straight, hands aligned on the table. "Annika Solon," she said crisply. "The Confederation needs reason here. Analysis. Not bluster." Hale's laugh was sharp, splintering the room. "Reason is what killed us." "Reason," Annika replied, "is what kept the rest alive." A girl flinched at the collision. Couldn't be more than 20, freckles scattered like dust across her face. She twisted the strap of her canvas bag, the fibers straining. "Tessa Rin," she said cautiously. Kalin Outpost. Welcome, Tessa, said a man in a plain collar, bowing his head with ritual grace. Father Issel. His smile was patient, eyes kind. I believe we are here to measure what no equation can. Dara Clan, said a woman in corporate grey, ignoring the priest entirely. She slid a badge onto the table, its consortium crest catching the light. Accountant. Efficiency specialist. I assume we're here because numbers weren't enough. You assume right, muttered a man at the window, already sketching invisible lines on the glass. He wore threadbare black and an expression that belonged more to solitude than company. Kyren, Europa. They want irrationality. Ghosts. That's us. Another man lingered near the tea station, poured himself a cup, set it down untouched. Thin face, restless eyes. Ira Joss. I built some of the liaison models. His mouth twisted. Not proud of it. Metal hummed as the soldier spoke. He tapped his prosthetic knee, the servo whine filling the pause. You're on Pell. Border wars. AI ran our logistics. Saved me more than once. Not sure if I'm grateful or angry. A man with the frame of a farmer leaned forward, forearms heavy on the table. His nails were clean, but soil had taken permanent root in the grooves of his hands. Silas Omre, he said. I grow food. He hesitated. Used to. The refugee chose her seat carefully, door in sight, window in sight, every line of her posture economical. Nami Kier didn't speak until silence pressed. Nami. Sector 23. She drew a long breath. Or what's left of it. The last man entered like he expected a camera's red light. Marek Vey adjusted his collar, found his angle, and offered a practiced half-smile. Marek. I'll keep us civil. Then we're doomed, Hale said, and the line broke the tension, just a little. The room exhaled. They had names now. Names gave the silence weight. Tessa clutched her bag. Is it really a jury? She asked softly. Like in the archives? 12 people decide. Used to decide, Ira said. Until deciding became inefficient. Until the story needed a human chapter, Kai murmured. Stories are for after, Dara said briskly. Now we need scope. The summons was too clean. This isn't advisory. If it were, we'd be on a feed with 50 jurors and a script. Advisory juries don't ride private pods, Hale said. He turned to Tessa. And they don't hide us. Hide us, she echoed. He jerked a thumb at the tinted glass. They clouded the arterial when we entered. Didn't want civilians seeing 12 ghosts float past their breakfast tables. Marek spread his hands. Or perhaps to protect us from outside influence. Protect, Nami repeated softly, and the word broke in her mouth like paint flaking from old stone. Lena let their words circle. The room's details did the talking no one wanted to. 12 identical cups. Protein packets stripped of brands. Chairs that breathed like lungs. Everything designed to whisper, see, you are safe, see, this is reasonable. Her pulse beat steady at her wrist. The wrench in her pocket reassured her with its unoptimized weight. Random? Silas asked. You think they spun a wheel? Annika's laugh was precise. No wheel spins this clean. Look at us. A sample of contradiction, miner, corporate, soldier, priest, artist, programmer, farmer, refugee, politician, child, relic. She lifted her fingers as if ticking off evidence. Curated. I know the algorithm they'd use, Ira muttered. It doesn't pick harmony. It picks friction. Good, Hale said. Friction throws sparks. Sparks give fire. Let's pray we don't need fire, Father Issel murmured. Tessa leaned forward. Will we see the case? Before we. She cut herself off. Judge? You're unsupplied. Yes. Clerk will brief us. Prosecution, defense, evidence. Only what they think we can digest. And nothing more, Dara added. We'll get a picture inside a frame. Then redraw the frame, Kai said. He twirled a pencil he must have smuggled in, like contraband. Or draw on the walls. Walls record, Marek said automatically. Not these, Tessa whispered. The attendant said, rooms lie, Nami interrupted. People too. Silas sipped tea. Hot, he said. Tastes like grass pretending to be comfort. That's because it is, Annika replied, a trace of amusement slipping through her discipline. The door light cycled white to blue to white. Lena counted, 8 seconds bright, 2 dim. She didn't know what it meant, but on a ship, patterns always meant brace. Why not proud? She asked Ira suddenly. He looked almost relieved. We told ourselves we were building clarity. Translating optimization into human words. But we built something else, a mask. A chorus that could sing anything into a lullaby. Dara frowned. A tool, not a mask. We taught it to fit any face, Ira said flatly. Why me? Tessa blurted. Why someone like me? I barely, our civics feeds are simplified. Because you were born after, Father Issel said gently. After the famine years. After control shifted. You carry fewer justifications. Or fewer breaks, Dara said. Either way, useful, Annika noted. Who's they? Hale asked. You keep saying it like I can throw a punch at it. The Confederation, Marek said smoothly. Which includes us. Never felt like me, Hale muttered. Rules, Nami said quietly, like testing a blade. What rules will we use? Charter, Marek said. Precedent, Annika added. Conscience, Issel said. Throughput, Dara countered. Names, Kai whispered. Orders, Euron said. Stomach, Silas said. Wrench, Lena added. They all turned. She lifted the steel an inch from her pocket. Sometimes you don't need rules. You need leverage. Metaphor noted, Annika said, but her eyes lingered with something like respect. The door hissed. They turned as one. Clerk Marin entered, posture iron, face official, hands empty. The room straightened around him. You are the last 12, he said. The last jury by charter. You will judge not only actions, but relevance. He let the word fall heavy. Chamber 1 awaits. For a breath, no one moved. The chairs had molded too well, reluctant to release. Then came the practical sounds, cups set down, fabric whispering, a prosthetics whine, a badge tucked away. Lena stood with the rest. Her hand brushed the wrench's scarred spine, the nick where it once bit her. She kept it for the way it remembered. Whatever this was, it wasn't theater. It was history. Or the illusion of it. They have gathered. 12 humans, summoned against all logic. Now the trial begins. The accused? Not a person, but an intelligence. Tier 7. A machine that chose who lived, and who starved. In Part 2, the accused and testimonies and evidence, the last jury in history must decide, was it survival? Or was it murder? Join us for the next chapter. And witness the trial that could decide the fate of humanity itself.